Star Wars, Young Jedi Knights. Delusions of Grandeur. Chapter 22, the final chapter. Jaina stood next to Zeke, desperately searching for the right words. As he stood on the boarding ramp of the lightning rod, she had to say something before he left. "I'll see you soon, I promise," Zeke said. "But right now I better be on my way. Maybe I'll even find Born on Thol before IG-88 does. At least I can do is take him a message from Raynar." Zeke swallowed. "Remember, Zeke, we're always willing to help you. To talk or listen if you need us." "I know, Jaina." He smiled at her. But before she could know it, she found herself caught up in a fierce hug, right there on the rooftop. She returned the hug for a long moment. Then Zeke backed into his ship, waving in farewell. "Maybe I'll drop in to rescue again sometime soon." "Unless I rescue you first," Jaina countered. She stood with stinging eyes on the rooftop as he sealed the hatch of the old freighter. "Don't fly through any black holes, Zeke," she said in a hoarse whisper. The lightning rod soared off into the sky, doubling back in a complex loop as Zeke showed off his flying prowess before taking the ship into an atmosphere and then deep space. Jason sat frustrated in the comm center of Mechas 3, while EMTD hovered and bobbled in the air over his shoulders, practicing with his new micro-repulsor jets. Telka entered and stood in the doorway, her hand on her hip as she waited for Jason to finish. With a sigh, he swiveled to look at the warrior girl and flashed her a smile. "I've left 3 messages at Loe's home on Kashyyyk, and I haven't got any response," he said. "Loe should be there, or at least his parents, or his sister, Syrah. I sure hope nothing's wrong." Telka's face remained expressionless. "Lobaka is a good fighter and a talented Jedi. I am certain he can take care of himself." "I hope so," EMTD interjected, "but there is still sufficient cause for concern." Jason gave up his seat at the comm panels. He knew Telka had been waiting to contact her parents at the Fountain Palace in Hapes. The warrior girl sat down. Even with one hand, her fingers flew over the controls, setting up the hyperlink wave. "I'm taking added precaution of using my royal family's encryption codes," she told Jason, and waited for an answer. When Isolde and Tenagio Dojo appeared on the screen, she told them about the Diversity Alliance, describing it as an anti-human conspiracy that masqueraded as a malevolent political movement. Her parents took Telka's concerns seriously and agreed to put their best counter-conspiracy operation in action. They would find out whatever they could about the group. Privately, Telka knew that her grandmother would intercept the message and feel compelled to investigate the Diversity Alliance. With her own brand of ironic humor, the warrior girl asked her parents to convey her greetings to her father's mother, realizing that Tachum would probably hear the words even before the communication link between Hapes and Mechas 3 was broken. Her grandmother would no doubt put her best spies to work immediately. So much the better, Telka thought. The Diversity Alliance would find Tachum a formidable enemy. As soon as Telka had ended the transmission, an override signal winked in the panel. Jason rushed forward to accept the transmission. "Busy day," he remarked. "Oh my," EMTD said, hovering over the panel. "According to the designations, that message is coming from Kashyyyk. I hope it's Master Lobaka." Jason was rewarded by the on-screen images of Lobaka's parents, Makarakor and Kalabawa. "You better help translate, EMTD," he said. "At last! It's my primary function," the little droid said. "I am fluent in over 16 forms of communication, you know." After a brief greeting message, Jason learned from the slow Wookiee growls that Loe was no longer on Kashyyyk, and that he had left the planet days ago. "What?" Jason said. He and Telka exchanged a concerned glance. "Where'd they go?" He and Syrah had gone with Rabba to meet Nola Tarkona in person and learn more about the Diversity Alliance. Many other Wookiees expressed a similar interest after the fine speech Rabba had given. "They had gone over the headquarters on Ryloth?" Telka asked, and the other Wookiees nodded. Jason felt the blood drain from his face, but he forced a cheerful expression, thanks Kalabawa and Makarakor. No need to trouble them incessantly until he knew more. "Dear me," said EMTD, from where he hovered just above Jason's right shoulder. "After what we've learned from the Diversity Alliance, I fear Master Lobaka has fallen with an unsavory lot. I do hope he's safe." Jaina gave the little droid a sympathetic pat. "Don't we all, EMTD?" she said. "Don't we all?" A trio of young Wookiees stood at a tunnel entrance that faced the cold night side of Ryloth. Together they gazed up into the star-studded sky. White Sparkling white glaciers and ice fields covered the rugged landscape beyond the twilight boundary. The chill wind was harsh enough that it penetrated even their thick pelts. Chocolate-furred Rabba stood between Loie and Sierra, an arm across each of their shoulders. Loie was glad he found his old friend again, and that Rabba and Sierra were reunited, but he often thought his companions, Jason, Jaina, and Tenel Ka. He couldn't break himself of the habit of touching the empty spot in his fiber belt where EMPD should have been clipped. As if sensing the flow of his thoughts, Rabba spoke in firm and cheerful tones to reassure him. He was among true friends now, she said. Loie was where he belonged. They watched the stars for a while, then went back into the winding tunnels.